Is 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Eileen, can you do roll call?
Trustee Barheit,
Here.
trustee Young,
Present.
trustee Hopkins,
Here.
trustee Gant,
Here.
trustee Sweeting,
Here.
trustee Faber,
Here.
and president Hoover.
Here. Did we meet open meeting compliance?
We have.
Great. Trustees, do I have approval of the agenda sequence?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Okay, we will move into public comments. Please address the board. There will be no back and forth discussions, and we're going to try to keep to the 3-minute time limit. And if everybody could please silence their phones. Thank you. First, I have Patricia May. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record. And then just make sure you speak into the microphone, please, Patty. Thank you.
My name is Patricia May. I live at 12545 Rock Lake Road in Trinket. The reason I'm here today, I've been a resident at that house for approximately 16 years. My house sits 50 inches from the road. The road has always been a challenge with speeders, always. But in the last 2 years, it has become ridiculous with dangerous speeding that just is unheard of. I walk quite a bit. I have actually, and this is why I started calling Rita this past summer, was crossing the road. The car came behind me very quickly and had the audacity to yell out the window, "Get off the effing road." And I'm like, this is ridiculous. This is dangerous. We don't have curbs on the road, which I'm not asking for curbs, but we've got texters and they're driving down the road and they go off the road. They're not going to know they're off the road. And we've got that beautiful parkway that people can walk. You've also got people coming in and out of their garages, which sits right on the road. They'll never know it, and someone's going to get killed or dangerously hurt as a result of it. It's become a cut through. It's like the Autobahn. You can just come through. You don't have to take 83. You don't have lights. You go as quick as you want. It's very rare that we see Kenosha. Many of my neighbors have called Kenosha to come and sit and, patrol the area. I have a house that sits right on the road, so I can see pretty much out of any window. And the police sit in the same spot all the time. They sit their car out way out by the traffic, and they sit there while everyone can see them. Well, they don't catch any speeders, or catch very few. It's just something that I think we need to take advantage of your help to make my road safe for everyone, because someone's going to get hurt. Now, I also have another reading from another resident who couldn't make it today, and I'd like to read that to you as well. This is from Eric Vershovic, and thank you for correcting me. And his is, speeding on Rock Lake Road is not a new problem. I have called the Kenosha County Sheriff repeatedly during the 22 years we have lived here. Over the years, Kenosha County Sheriff's Department has utilized mobile radar carts, patrol cars, etc. for speed enforcement. None of these are fixed to the problems that exist. I have been passed numerous times, as well as myself, on a solid yellow line. I going the speed limit, you're going the speed limit, and you're passed. While I was working in my yard this past fall, 2023, I noted a black sports car with Illinois plates clocked at 52 miles an hour by the radar cart facing eastbound traffic between 257 and Runwood Way. These violations are a hazard to the residents along Rock Lake Road. Even going to your mailbox presents a concern for your safety. As well, when I was shoveling snow at the road and the driveway interface, he actually put a cone out on the road. And at night, he wears a flashing biker's light for his own safety. He'd like to see real action taken to address this issue before someone is injured or killed. Stop signs would be perfect. We would love to see stop signs, two at least. 259th and 122nd are the suggested control for the west and southbound. 257th and Rock Lake Road. He believes this is a critical location as a midpoint from the route from Highway C towards Antioch. Runyard Way, east-west, Lake Road, Rock Lake Road. This also is a good location. It is an entry point in Wisconsin. It would be a check on the driver's speed from 35 miles from Traver. Speed bumps are a traffic control feature that cannot be ignored. Even though other municipalities use them, I have heard there is a reluctance for Salem Lakes to use them because of snow plowing. He would like to suggest the use of removable speed bumps during the season outside of the winter, say the 1st of April till November. There are other concerns with Rock Lake Road as a cut through by commercial carrier trucks. I myself have just recently seen an oil truck come through, a gas truck, a semi on our road. How can that be true? And it was speeding. It's pretty much his. I kind of did my own words, but it's ridiculous and it is dangerous. And there are semis and there are trucks and there are trailers. And yesterday there was a horse trailer coming through, probably about 40. We need your help, board. Please help us.
Thank you, Patty. Peter Poley, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hello, Peter Poley, 30728 112th Street, Wilmot, Wisconsin. So on the agenda today, there's two items that I wanted to speak to. One was the agenda item about chickens. I called the office today and was put in touch with Mr. Carrier, who explained to me what the proposed changes to the chicken ordinance are. And as I understand them, I'm not trying to represent them here today, but it sounds like 2 acres and under, so no minimum lot size, 10 chickens, no more license that requires signing a 24/7 accessibility agreement for village employees to come on and look anytime they want to make sure you're taking care of your chickens okay. And setbacks will still stay in place and there's still plenty of power for the village to act if there's bad players or somebody's doing something causing a nuisance. So I just want to say, I want to be able to come and speak either in favor or against of the changes. And so I was able to find out what I wanted to hear from Mr. Carey. And if that's what goes forth with the changes, I can't say that I could be any more in favor of those changes. And that's pretty much what we were trying to get done a few years ago that just didn't seem to happen. So I'm really looking forward to that moving forward. And I hope you decide to follow Mr. Carey's recommendations. Additionally, it talked to me as tracking all the issues that do come up with chickens. There's very few, and that's a great way to proceed is if we have a reoccurring issue that becomes common, we can always re-alter the ordinance. So I'm happy to hear that that's happening. On the UTV ordinance, I had an idea that I wanted to share. Maybe it could be helpful. One, I know we had the guy from the DNR here who said that we had to put up signs, but one thing that I never saw was where's it written in state statute that we have to put up signs? Now, not saying not to, but if it's not an official requirement, there's another way to get it done, then maybe it's something we could look at. So one thing that I thought of was potentially if the village of Salem Lakes was to create like a big bumper sticker with a QR code on it that says, do not operate this vehicle without first going to this QR code location and reviewing operations map for the village of Salem Lakes. And it'd be right there on the, make sure it gets mounted on the dashboard of the UTV, golf cart, whatever it might be. And they could even be numbered and we could give them away for free or however we want to do it. So each vehicle that was going to be used had one. So if somebody's pulled over, they can say, well, I didn't know. Well, it says don't operate this vehicle without first reading and looking at the map on where you can and can't be. And maybe that would save us this potential $7,000 in signs. And where I kind of get this idea is, you know, that same meeting, that DNR officer talked about wakes behind boats and on lakes. And you're responsible as a boat operator for your wake and damage that it may or may not do to somebody else's boat or swimmers. And when you're hunting or hiking in the woods or going anywhere off of public right of way, it's your personal responsibility to know where your body is and whether or not you're trespassing in the state of Wisconsin. So I don't understand why that same logic cannot be applied to the operation of UTVs and ATVs. So it's just a suggestion. It might help maybe move this along with the public wants to see that happen. So hope that helps. Thank you so much.
Charles Summit, is it Summit? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Charles Subid. I'm at 12415 Rock Lake Road in Trevor. And as Patty earlier was speaking about, we have a terrible traffic problem on Rock Lake Road at the time. For probably at least 10 years, but as she said, the last 2 years have been particularly bad because things have changed. One of the things that changed was I think it was about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, they resurfaced the north part of Route 83. Well, at that time, everybody, for some reason, Illinois redirected the traffic down Rock Lake Road. Everybody found out, hey, this is a great shortcut, let's take the shortcut. Well, as time progressed, the people taking a shortcut weren't just going 25 or 30, they were going whatever they could do. And since we have just limited amount of police coverage there, and they pretty much figured out they're not here too often, they just take the chance and go down there 45, 50, 55, and as Patty mentioned, most of us along Rock Lake Road, at least on that side, our garages and our homes are very close to the road. And then we have the mailboxes too. If you try to go out for your mailbox, try to pull off your driveway, try to back out of your garage, you're asking for taking your life in your own hands. And we just ask that something could be done, if it's even another study, but at least show that, you and we can progress towards doing something a little more than just, throwing some more police time there, because that does not work. I don't even think speed bumps will work because, as Patty also said, those aren't good for the snow plows, and taking them up and putting them down is a pain. But there's 3 intersections along Rock Lake Road, and where this is very problematic. And I would say that stop signs at those 3 intersections would not only slow traffic down, but I believe that because it would make it inconvenient for many of these people from Illinois, perhaps they would start taking Road 83 and take County JF, which is what they should be taking if they're going over to Wilmot or to Camp Lake, not coming down a little shortcut to our little residential area. My mailbox was recently destroyed. At least I take solace in that a large part of it, of the 4x4, was missing. So I'm hoping it was embedded in their radiator. But they not only ran into my mailbox, they swerved and went across into the parkway, left a big rut there. So, I don't know if this was just a speeder. They were definitely speeding, but it may have been also a drunk driver. We have these semis, they are unnecessary. The only semis that should be coming down there, I believe, are the ones that carry gravel that are turning into the subdivision across the street. Any other semis, they can take JF. There's nothing between us and JF that they would have to go to. Just the restaurant over there, and that restaurant can be accessed by JF. I believe that the non-enforcement, which basically when you have less police watching over there, the non-enforcement actually yields non-compliance, and people know that they don't have to comply with the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. They don't, and I don't blame them. If we can get away with something, we're only human. We try to get away with something, but I'm hoping that you and we will do something about fixing that problem.
Great. Thanks, Charles. Thank you. All right, I'm going to call John. Is it Grade?
Yep, that's correct.
Got it. Same item.
Hi, good evening. John Grace, I live at 12529 Rock Lake Road. I'm not going to repeat what Patty and Eric and this gentleman said. I think we're all aware that there is a problem there. I don't really have a problem with the volume of the cars. It's just the speed. I spend a lot of time, there's a walking path, and spend a couple hours sometimes just biking around the path in the subdivision, so I can see all the cars going by. And you can really notice when a car is going 25 miles an hour. I mean, that's slow. It's a very manageable speed. And then when you see somebody going 35 or 40, I mean, that really kind of stands out. It's like somebody's going to get hurt here. I've got a granddaughter and, we lock the doors and lock the gate. If she were to ever run out into the street or something, I think she's 2 years old. I mean, it would be pretty tragic. So, but, we enjoy Rock Lake. It's a beautiful lake. Subdivision is great. All the neighbors are great. Like I said, I don't have a problem with the volume of the traffic. It's just the speed. And it's people that, I sometimes think they don't even realize how fast they're going. They come up north-south, that's like 35 miles an hour. They come into the subdivision, they come up Highway C. And I think that one stretch of road before you get to the Colony House, it's like 45 miles an hour. There's like the speed limit sign there. It's kind of ridiculous. So they're already kind of coming in at a fast speed and there's nothing to stop them or slow them down to kind of get them to reset and think, hey, I'm in a residential area. I see a couple of these 25-mile-an-hour speed signs. Maybe I should kind of adhere to that. I think having stop signs would get them to stop, would get them to reset. I think it would discourage people from coming through because it's just going to take longer to get through. So, we talked about maybe speed cameras and things like that, but I think that's a much bigger investment in that. But, I'll be honest with you, when I've seen those speed things you put up there where it shows people's speeds, I see people really slowing down as they come up to it. So it's some kind of a reminder or some kind of, again, a reset that, hey, I need to really kind of slow down. I'm going 35 into 25. I just sometimes don't think they realize it. And but other times it's intentional. I see sometimes the same car coming through many times and they're always just whipping through. And again, I think what people said, somebody's going to get hurt, somebody's going to get killed. The houses are close, the garages are really close to the street. That older people, you've got young people and things like that. And, all you have to do is just for a second lose sight of how fast somebody's coming. You pull out, you're going to get hit. And I think within the last year, it did run into one of the telephone poles there and things like that. And so anything that this board could do to help with stop signs or any other measures would be greatly appreciated by the residents there. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. Leslie, I cannot read your last name. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Leslie Blue. I'm at 12419 Rock Lake Road. And I really have nothing more to add. They've been very articulate. I'm just wanting to support them. And thank you.
Great, thank you, Leslie. And last we have Rose. Please state your name and address for the record.
What's my name?
Yep, up here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
It's hard to hear you back there.
That's okay.
Just make sure it's me.
Isn't that speaker on?
I don't know.
Rose Island, 12459 Rock Lake Road. I'm just coming in support. The traffic on that road is absolutely out of hand. It's very, the speed of the traffic. You are taking, like the gentleman said, you're like in hands a lot of times because the cars go very fast. I'm in support of as many stop signs as you can put on there to slow these people down. Very dangerous. I had a gentleman, I can't even say gentleman, a truck behind me last year. I was doing a few miles over the speed limit. Wasn't fast enough for him. He passed me up in the middle of Rock Lake Road, started shaking his fist at me, gave me the birdie, screaming and floored off in front of me. I'm like, this is crazy. Somebody has to do something. We'd rather be proactive than reactive. If something, God forbid, terrible happens, if somebody gets injured or hurt. And that's about it. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Rose. Heather Iverson, please come up, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, Heather Iverson, 3421 16th Street, Kenosha. I am running for a Circuit Court Judge, Branch 3 for Kenosha County. I currently am your Circuit Court Commissioner for Kenosha County, and I've been serving that position since 2021. I won't give a lot of platitudes and open-ended positions, but I believe in deterrence. I believe in high cash bonds, specifically for violent crimes. I'm not a big fan of a signature bond. I think it encourages people to just go out and reoffend or re-victimize or whatever the case may be. I believe in upholding the rule of law. I believe in not politicking from the bench. I think a judge's role is to enforce the law, not interpret the law. So I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. I have had the pleasure of meeting a few of you at some meet and greets here and there. If you have any questions, I'll be here afterwards. I look forward to talking with all of you. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Okay, with that, we are going to move on to president's comments. Okay, I have two items I would like to talk about tonight. The first is, I hope at the next meeting to be able to have a list of the appointments to the boards and commissions, the terms that are up for reappointment this year, and I would be asking for applications to fill those appointments. And one change we're going to make this year is that if you are currently on a board or commission, you will have to fill out an application just like everyone else and turn it in. That is a change just to be more thorough. And so hopefully I will have that the next meeting, and we will have some applications available if anyone wanted to pick them up at that time. The second item I want to speak about is an article in the Kenosha County Eye a couple of weeks ago, I think a week and a half ago or so, about a member on our fire commission. That member has resigned. What I do want to say is that I do believe that they have paid their price to society. And this individual does a lot of good for our community, and I don't want people to lose sight of that. So I want to mention that the Salem Lake Spring Cleanup is May 4th, and I hope that, the turnout is as good as previous years and no one uses this individual's past against things like that. So that is all I want to say. We will go into number 8, presentations, petitions, communications, and other agency reports. We actually do not have anything. So we're going to go to number 9, planning and zoning. 9.1, public hearing and possible action on ordinance 2024.02-75, an ordinance repealing and recreating section 490-45 of the general zoning and shoreline floodplain zoning ordinance of the village of Salem Lake.
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Hopkins and a second by Gant. I am going to open the public hearing. There's no applicant, correct? Okay. So is there anyone to speak in favor of this item? Anyone to speak in favor?
You explain what that ordinance is.
Can we do that? Yes? Oh,
Sure. Glenn Record, the village engineer here at Salem Lakes. The ordinance that you have before you tonight is essentially an update that the village has been requested by the Department of Natural Resources to comply with the National Flood Insurance Program rules and regulations as it relates to occasional floodplain zoning ordinance updates. Again, it's a requirement of the DNR. This is consistent with county planning and zoning and past village practice. When the village was incorporated back in 2017, it more or less took on that responsibility as a village incorporated entity. So again, this is really kind of a housekeeping thing for update of the village's zoning ordinance.
great. Okay, so I've already asked twice. I'm going to ask a third time. Is there anyone to speak in favor of this item? Okay, is there anyone to speak against this item? Is there anybody to speak against? Is there anyone to speak against this item? Okay, with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. And I believe we need to take a vote, yes? Okay. Mr. Barheit?
Yeah.
Mr. Faber?
Yes.
Ms. Sweeting?
Yes.
Mr. Gant?
Yes.
Mr. Hopkins?
Yes.
Jared? Great, and I'm a yes. Motion carries unanimous. 9.2, discussion on ordinance 2024.01-76, an ordinance repealing and replacing provisions of chapter 186, article 4 of municipal code of Village of Salem Lakes regarding chickens in residential areas. John, sure, yeah.
Right. So what I was proposing before the board here was to simplify and make less restrictive our current chicken ordinance, based on what I've seen over the last couple of years of enforcing our current ordinance. We did a lot of work for this ordinance in the past, and while I believe our intentions were good at the time, we may have created an overly complicated ordinance that could be simplified in a few different ways. So going through some of the changes here, primarily getting rid of the permit for the chickens altogether. As of right now, we require the residents to complete an accessory building permit. So as of January 1st, that means going over to the county, getting an accessory building permit approved, bring it back here, then we have to do the inspection and go through that process. There's a lot of hoops in there for that. It seems unnecessary. The building inspectors don't seem to care too much about the construction of the coops because they're not inhabited by people. So construction isn't too much of a concern for them. So that seems like an unnecessary step. Financially, we're not gaining anything from it. There's like 2 permits in the village at this time. So people aren't following it. And partly it is because it's overly complicated to get that permit in place. We require a class to be taken. We never really adopted a class. So I would usually just tell people, whatever you have that will give you a certificate with your name on it saying you completed it is acceptable. So we've done that, but that would be one way with the permit as well. One of the other changes I was proposing under the restriction was simplifying the number of chickens and the size of the property. So right now it's everything from 15,000 square foot to an acre is 6, 1 acre to 2 acres is 8, and anything over 2 acres is 20. Just bringing that down to 10 chickens for anything under 2 acres, 20 chickens for anything over 2 acres, keeping that part of it the same. With the permit, it took away a lot of the language that was needed for that process. So if you guys read through the strike down version of the ordinance, some of those amendments, it's language where it says permit holder, we changed it to a property owner. Took out the permit and stuff itself. Coops didn't really change a whole lot. They would still be required to have the premises registration. So even though we don't have a permit process in place, the residents having chickens would still register those with the state so they can do the tracking of the salmonella and that type of thing. So we kept the meat of the ordinance while trying to simplify and get rid of the permit. It still allows me the opportunity based on a complaint to go out there and do any kind of enforcement because the nuisances relating to the chickens are still there. So if the coops are not constructed correctly or not placed in the right spot, all that stuff is still in there. We haven't had a whole lot of complaints where there's illegal coops all over the place, and it just really hasn't been an issue. The chicken don't seem to be a problem for most people. That's why I feel like going up to 10 for the properties, I'm saying they're acceptable based on the size of the coop, and then keeping the ability to enforce businesses.
Great.
So by removing the coops out of the planning and zoning ordinance,
Yes.
for accessory structure, it also takes away any requirements for setbacks.
Yeah, so we just talked about that, and we still had the location being side or rear yard only, but you are right, because we took the accessory structure language out of that, not having that permit. It may be something we should add back in as far as a setback. We could add it right in the same section as side or rear yard only with a 5-foot setback, 10-foot setback, whatever the board feels would be appropriate. I would probably keep it the same as the accessory structure, just keep it simple, but we can add that line back in there.
As
I missed before.
what do neighboring villages do with their chickens today? You, any idea?
No, I don't. I mean, we did this research a couple of years ago, so I know we were all over the place. And I spent 9 months gathering information on what everybody does, and nobody's doing it the same. So it really depends on your municipality and what they want to enforce and how strict they want to get with it. Based on the number of coops that I know we have out there that are all technically legal right now, and the amount of complaints we get, which is generally almost nothing, I felt we could be less restrictive, but still have ability to address complaints when they become a problem.
And the complaints are driven by the residents. It's not you that goes around looking.
Correct. I'm not policing. That's why there's been little to no enforcement on the coops, because nobody's complaining, and then there's no deterrent for people to follow or there's no incentive to follow that ordinance right now, because if they don't, they're just getting away with it unless somebody complains. If they do, they have to go through all these hoops to go through an overly complicated permit process.
So Twin Lakes and Pleasant Prairie prohibit chickens in residential areas. When you get to Bristol, they go as low as 6,000 square foot lots, but they do have a minimum. All right. And with that 6,000 square foot, they're only allowing 4 chickens. And actually that goes up to 15,000 square foot. So 4 to 15 is 4 chickens. Okay. We have a number of lots in the village that are less than 15,000. And I don't know what the minimum lot size we have somewhere in the village.
In the current code,
Sorry, what?
15.
15 in the current.
No.
What's
I'm
that,
talking-
what is the smallest that we do?
Any
have?
idea of the smallest lot in the village? Guess? 6,000 square foot?
I was gonna say 4.
4. So I have a real issue with trying to place chickens on a 4,000 square foot lot. Okay? I have no issue with increasing to 10 chickens, but I would like to leave the minimum lot size at 15. And I also want to include the setbacks that were for the accessory into the chicken ordinance, so that we're not sitting a coop and a pen on top of somebody's property line where the stuff may inadvertently cross over.
That should have stayed in there for sure. I agree with that as well. The setbacks should be there. Otherwise somebody will put it right out property line.
Yep.
The rear, side and rear yard, only I think should stay as well. We have it in there, but along that, we can add that setback. for
Yeah.
sure. And as far as the minimum lot size, I was not too concerned about, because if we have those setbacks and those requirements on a small lot, they don't have a lot of room. But I don't see a lot of people putting them on those properties to begin with, but if we have those 10,000 square foot properties, and we have a lot of them, if we kept it at 15,000, we're excluding a lot of people from having chickens. That might do it responsibly and not affect their neighbors. But if we still had the language in there for the nuisances, we would address those as they come up. The inspections I've done, I don't see the chickens. I've never heard them. I don't see any problems, because they're not out running around. They're not free ranging, because they're not allowed to do that. So as long as they're keeping them in their coops and their pens, and they're not causing any problems for the neighbors, I didn't think the size of the property.
So 100 by 100 with the setbacks,
For what?
lot, square foot lot, 100 foot by 100 foot, or 10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
Okay, with setbacks, I could probably get behind that
Mhm.
with the 10 chickens. But we have to have a minimum size. You can't go down to nothing, basic, not with 10 chickens.
It's completely up to you guys. What you guys want to do with it. So.
Any other comments from trustees?
Comment. I think 10 for a small lot is a lot of chicken. That's more eggs than you're eating. Your family is eating. I've had chickens my whole life. 10's a lot of birds. I think we need to get one step down to get up to that 3/4 of an acre to get to the 10 birds, maybe split that in half, the smaller lots. And like you said, the real tiny lots, those are kind of rough to have them on, even if they keep them in the box.
Well, they are supposed to keep them in the box. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's the complaints you've had are people that are letting their chickens free range.
The complaints that we've had have been generated from typically people that allow them to free range and to get.
In fact, that's what started this whole thing, that someone had over 30 chickens and roosters, and they were just all over the place. And we spent a lot of time on it, but I'm in agreement that we may have overdone it. As far as those small lots are concerned, how many small lots do we have that are in that 7, 4, 5, 6, 7,000 square foot? Not very many. And if, what's the percentage of those people that are gonna have chickens? So it really doesn't bother me, that we take away the size restriction. But I do agree that 10 chickens is a little heavy. I would prefer to see, 6 at a certain limit size of.
Until you get up to bigger lots.
To get to,
And we can keep it the same as what we have currently, which is the 15,000 square foot, 6 chickens. Everything between 15,000 and up to 1 acre is 8 chickens. Between 1 to 2 acres is 8 chickens in that.
because they're all kept in a pen. I mean, they're not free range.
Yeah, it's just that when I've been out there looking at the chickens and I don't notice, like, I literally have to count them, like, if there were 6 or 10, some of them were in the coop, some of them were in the pen. I just don't see that great of an impact on a neighbor based on, the pen is the size the pen is gonna be. And if it's big enough by our ordinance to have the number of nesting boxes and all the required space for the 10, or however they may have 4 or whatever, it's not saying they have to have 10 there. It's just saying they're allowed up to the 10. And if the coop is big enough to house 10 in a humane manner, then I don't see the additional chickens causing much more nuisance than the 6 were to begin with.
I think that was a good answer.
Ramsey, can we take comments from the public now or no?
I don't think you have an agenda that way.
Okay. Pete, I will give you 1 minute.
Thank you. So to answer Mr. Faber's question, when we looked at this back in 2019, 25% of the properties are underneath 15,000 square feet, many of which are owned by people of lesser means who could benefit from having chickens. And then because Mr. Carey has been tracking all the issues, allowing it to just happen without a minimum, if there's a problem, we can always come back and introduce, which we brought up back in 2019. And I'd like to add, there's no minimum square footage to have 3 Rottweilers, which will create much more waste than 10 chickens. So if you can have dogs in the size lot, there's a reason we can't have chickens on the size lot. So just something to throw out there for food for thought. We don't have to automatically regulate out of fear. We could regulate out of actual true occurrence. That'd be preferred. Thank you.
I have to say I'm in agreement with Mr. Pooley.
Same.
Because I don't know a product of World War II the president had on the front page for every homeowner to do a victory garden and get your chickens. You know, so to allow people to have their own eggs, I don't see a problem with it. And again, with the dogs, neighbors have dogs that yap all day long when they go to work. I don't think it compares to a few chickens.
Well, I guess I would like to see us, if you're up to, 10,000 square feet, you can only have maybe 4. And then if you're up to 15, you can have 6. And then after that, you can go. But I think that the setbacks are important for sure. And then, see how it goes. Ron, do you have an opinion? No opinion, Ron?
I think he said you, but
This is all legislative, there's no state law on it. There is some comments from some of the current state legislators that they are trying to cook up a bill intended on this subject. They currently have one that's explore on gardens. And I think they're going to possibly build it into that one. But it's currently no state, it's all purely legislative policy.
Got it. All right.
How about if we all send our comments to John? on the ordinance.
Yep.
Thanks, John.
I did mention to John, there was one individual that complied with our ordinance 2 years in a row. And I said I thought it'd be appropriate to give that guy's money back.
Yeah.
He hasn't applied to in 2024, so.
Okay, we're gonna move on to number 10, Administrator's Office. 10.1, discussion and possible action on casualty, property and workman's compensation insurance to select the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Company.
I could never rise to the level of Sandra, but luckily the first topic, I think there's two presenters here. Maybe I could open it up, and but could not be here tonight. Cassandra did provide you with a memo. She went out to obtain different quotes from insurance carriers. She did quote through your current carrier, along with Community Insurance Corporation. Your current carrier is kind of went Western, and then she also quoted through the League of Wisconsin Municipalities Mutual Insurance Company through R&R Insurance, and two of their representatives are here tonight. The conclusions from Cassandra, based on her research, was that the League insurance plan was going to be the most effective, cost-effective, and competitive. By a large margin, actually, we came in at around $37,000. Next up was your current carrier at Continental Western at around $282,000, and Community Insurance Corporation at around $293,000. And with the CEO here, along with representative from R&R Insurance, I'll let them give a little pitch on what their insurance provides the village. As you see, it's very robust. This is not a typical insurance company that simply is providing something with auto insurance. They're providing a full set of programs and services to the village, along with the hundreds of other villages and cities in the state of Wisconsin. So maybe I will turn it over to them to introduce the League of Wisconsin Municipalities. The CEO of the League Insurance Plan here, along with our, I'm not sure who wants to go first. Start.
Is there a PowerPoint you're able to boot up, or am I gonna freelance it without Cassandra?
You're gonna have to freelance. Well, actually, some of the.
Oh, here we go. All right, so Matt Becker is right here. He runs the League Insurance Program with Paul Lesla with our insurance. The way it's set up is that Matt, well, the League years ago credentialed a bunch of agencies to run different parts of the state. Our insurance handles all of southeastern Wisconsin. And that's why I'm here. A little bit about me real quick is my background is I'm a CPA, turned insurance agent, and been doing this for about 15 years. What we really want to do today, though, is we want to introduce you to our program without taking up too much of your time. The League is a non-for-profit organization. So the way that it's set up is we have a board of directors that are officials from cities and villages only. And our goal is to support you guys. I mean, you're members of the League. We're the League Insurance Program. Want to thank Cassandra for doing her due diligence. You know, one of the things that you're going to see is that we're saving a lot of money. So someone might say, boy, that's a lot of money to save. I'm sure you're doing apples to apples and all those kind of things. Well, all we do is we insure cities and villages in the state of Wisconsin. We're ran by officials from the cities and villages. So we really know these programs very well. Someone might also say, you know what, once you get in here, you're going to kick our rates up. Well, I can tell you, as long as I've been doing this, the highest rate increase I've seen is 3%, and it's usually 0 to 3%. So those might be questions that you guys come up with. I was trying to anticipate some of that. What I'm going to do is introduce Matt, because Matt runs all this. He's going to talk a little bit about the program. I'm going to stress that we're a non-for-profit organization. And, you know, it's really important in an insurance program to not just have the good pricing, which we do have, but also have good services to support you, free services. And in addition to that, great coverages. So we're gonna try to just explain some of that to you to get you guys comfortable with that. I'll let Matt take it.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for having us. I'm Matt Becker. I've been in municipal insurance for 18 years, and it kind of feels like the session after lunch when you follow the chickens. I feel like that was a more exciting time, but we'll try and do our best. Are you controlling over there?
Plug.
Kind of as Paul alluded to, I think the important thing to take away from a high level, especially to you as a governing body, is how do we operate as a company, right? And Paul kind of touched on it. You know, we have a board of directors that is your peers, administrators, mayors, elected officials. We are member owned, so there is not stockholders, there's no private equity involved here. So basically, we are created by the municipal members in Wisconsin and operated on your benefit, right? So we essentially operate like a nonprofit, right? And that kind of stands a little bit contrast to the company you're with now, right? We're not motivated by that. Paul talked a little bit about how we treat rates and things like that. That's because if we don't need money, then we don't ask for it, right? We just need to pay claims and pay the expenses to administer those claims. And that's it. There's no benefit to us to make more money. So on the right is kind of a list of all the coverages we do offer, basically the full suite, full complement of coverage to protect the municipality. All we do is cities and villages in Wisconsin. So our policy is simple. It's tailored exactly for a municipality and specifically in Wisconsin. So it's designed to meet your needs. That's all your liability coverages, your workers' compensation, your auto physical damage, and then property as well. We actually are a partner in the property insurance company in Wisconsin, third owner, and it's by far and away similar to the leading property insurer in Wisconsin. Do you want to touch a little bit on that? Because it's a little more your realm.
Yeah, so Municipal Property Insurance Corporation is, that said, the property company that's coming in. Some highlights with that program. Our experience is that when we get into municipalities, the villages and the cities, we find that there's a lot of issues with valuation, where the buildings might not be valued properly, all the way down to the playgrounds. So are you covered appropriately? We don't know, so we immediately give you 125% value coverage, all replacement cost, before we can do the next step, and we're gonna give you a free appraisal. So we're gonna come in and appraise the entire village, and we're going to do that with a third party and provide you with that report. We do that in the first year. Actually, MPIC does it, we don't do it. Some of the other things, you guys got water. We do provide $5 million worth of flood coverage. One of the nice things about that is you don't get the coverage if you're in a floodplain. We'll run some FEMA maps and make sure that we're good. Carriers usually give a limitation on that within 1,000 feet. You could have a floodplain right here and a building right here. We're gonna give you $5 million of coverage. Okay. What else? Any changes throughout the year? You add a building, you add an expensive piece of equipment. We're not gonna charge you any premium. We just true it up every year. So there's premium savings there too. MPIC insures 582 municipalities. So they've got most of the municipalities, or a very large percent of municipalities in the state. Their goal also, they're a non-for-profit. Their goal is to cover you, give you good coverages and good services and good pricing. That's MPIC.
So what's important in an insurance program that we want to convey to you guys right now is, you know, what we think matters to you and what you should be looking for in an insurance company. And that's value, right? That's everything from cost. You know, we're not naive to think that cost doesn't matter to you guys, right? Coverage, and that kind of goes hand in hand with cost too. Our goal is to be the most comprehensive form of coverage that you can purchase in the state. If you don't have the right coverage, that can impact costs. We have claims that aren't covered or don't have pineapple and then things like that. And then the services, you know, these are things that are going to be mostly new to the community that I think could really help you guys, whether it's safety, liability focused, all things to help control your exposure, save you guys money, keep your people from getting hurt. That's kind of how we structure our program to be. So we found that, you know, the numbers speak for themselves in terms of the membership, the solid financial footing that our company is on is due to this value proposition that we deliver. I take your count.
We'll do that.
All right.
So your workers' comp program, you might have seen in the summary that Cassandra did that we're going to organize it Right now you have a fire policy, you have an Illinois policy, a local policy, and it renews at different times of the year. We're gonna bring that all together, get it all renewed February 14th, and put it all in one policy to make it nice and organized. And then we're gonna give you a program. So I thought, how much do I give you guys a work comp 101 here for the board? But work comp's pretty simple. It's your premium is based on your payrolls and state set rates. So not much we can do there. So it's your premiums based on whether DPW, get higher rates there, DPW, less for clerical and the board. But you take all that, you take the payrolls, you take your times your state set rate, you get a premium. The only thing that impacts you, and I'll compliment you, you guys are at 0.8 mod, which means you're getting a 20% credit on your premium. And the reason you have that is because you've had low claims over 3 years. So we want to keep it that way, but we can get it better too. I think you can probably get down to 0.7, maybe probably 0.7. So we have programs in place to do that. We use United Heartland as a kind of like a TPA. Is that fair? They're going to manage the claims. They're one of the best workers' comp carriers in the country. They're going to manage the claims. We're going to bring in loss control people, boots on the ground, meet with the managers, and talk to them about safety. Am I getting ahead of you?
Nope.
In addition to that, R&R has workers' compensation specialists. There's best practices. I don't need to get into all that stuff, but we have a physical therapist on staff. We have other loss control people that are managers that understand how to manage workers' compensation. And we're gonna bring them all. We're gonna give you a specialized like a service plan that we can follow to keep that mod low, to keep you guys safe, to keep your employees safe. You know, that's one of the most important things, is not just saving the direct costs of a workers' comp program, but keeping your employees safe, because we want them to go home the same way they came. In addition to that, you're gonna have to pay overtime if you start losing employees. And that's why we have one other program. I'm gonna talk about that before Matt talks about some of the other programs. But we have this thing called nurse case triage. So someone gets hurt 24/7, call the 800 number. Call the 800 number and you can talk to a nurse. This is an RN. This is someone who can triage the claim. They'll tell you you need to go to the doctor, or maybe you just need to ice it, compression, elevation, that sort of thing. But that's 24/7. And the nice thing is there's something called the first report of injury that has to be done. It's the paperwork that goes to the carrier. They do that for you. So do the paperwork. They'll notify you of a claim. You'll talk to a nurse. It's a nice benefit when someone gets hurt. And that's the nurse trees. We just had that about 3 years ago, which is another good point, because when we get recommendations, so if you came to us and said, Paul, you know, nice you have all these programs, but you're missing X, Matt's gonna work on it. And that's what happened with another municipality that we just hired that hired us 3 years ago. We brought that on to be a benefit. Matt's gonna talk about this one. This ties in well with workers' compensation too. It's called Ready Rebound. And I don't know if you're gonna use your Aaron Rodgers explanation or not, but you might have some Packers and Bears fans there, so be careful.
This is my favorite resource that we have. You know, employee safety and injuries on the job are the thing that we focus so much attention on, because, you know, it bothers me. Not only is someone who's hurt off work, you've got to figure out what to do, but their home life is affected too as well. You know, and I think that matters. So this rebound program is similar to a professional athletic injury management model. So easiest way is an example. Aaron Rodgers blew out his Achilles right at the beginning of the season this year. What happens to Aaron Rodgers when he gets hurt? Well, I can tell you what he doesn't do. He doesn't call his primary doctor, see when he can get in, passively treat for a couple weeks, MRI, find a specialist 6 months later, figure out what's going on. He knows that day because they need to know what's wrong and what are they going to do about it, right? We take that model, we apply it to public entities, right? So the goal of this program is to get an injured person in for a lot of those musculoskeletal injuries that happen, you know, the knees, the shoulders, the backs, you know, common injuries. Get them to see a specialist within 24 to 48 hours. We have a network of physicians that have agreed to keep slots open to see municipal employees. And the benefit here is you get to a decision right away, similar to that Aaron Rodgers injury. So what we're going to do then is we're going to save time. So that's going to be time for the employee to get back on track to a healthy lifestyle, as well as your overtime, additional shift costs, things like that. We found we can save about 6 weeks of time by using this program. And that saves money on the claim side as well. It's kind of a win-win-win for everybody, which if we save money on claims, that's your money you're saving on claims. So it's a very cool program. It's kind of like a concierge medical arrangement, but the idea is to get quality care quickly. And there's Brewer's elbow doctor in this network, the Packers doctor is on this network, right? So you're gonna get quality care for the injury that does occur. So it's a pretty cool program. All this is no cost as well.
You want to mention that it's been expanded, not just.
That's true. It is available for off-duty injuries as well, no charge, as well as family members. So if you have a son or daughter, let's say, blows their knee out playing soccer on the weekend, you can call and use this service, and we've had people do that, so.
We can do.
I couldn't think of anything better. That's pretty cool. Our safety grant, another benefit for you guys that I don't think you've experienced in the past. Basically, all this is every year we allocate money for our members to purchase safety related equipment. It's calculated at 2% of your work comp premium. Here's some examples of things that people use it for, but the list is not limited. You know, anything that the municipality needs for the safe environment, you know, we usually agree to reimburse that. So
How about $1 million fire truck?
$1 million fire truck? Yeah. 2% of your work comp premium won't quite get you there, but I do think they're expensive. Okay. Okay, so there's a lot of services that come along on the liability side as well. This is kind of a list, and you guys don't need to remember everything. We just want to touch on high points to note that what's available, not only to staff, but there's some resources in here for you guys as well. All right. So one of the things I know Cassandra was really interested in, we provide a free legal resource to you guys. So what this really is before a claim happens, we want you to have access to an attorney to try and see if there's a way to mitigate the chances of that becoming a lawsuit, the financial impact to you guys. Probably 90% of the issues that flow here are in the employment, labor-related area. So it's issues on a disciplinary proceeding, how to proceed on a wage hour question. Probably one of the most common things is employee handbook review, right? We'll get you updated, compliant, things like that. But it's basically a free legal resource that you can access, and anyone in the organization can use it, you guys, the staff. So. We support policy and procedure funding through Lexipol. You guys don't have law enforcement, but your fire department, if they use Lexipol, can get a $2,500 reimbursement every year for policy updates and ongoing training, things like that.
We just approved that.
You just approved that?
Mhm.
We have a whole online learning university. I know most employees in a municipality don't sit in front of a computer all day, but some do. There's some rainy days, you know, someone's hurt off work. It's a good opportunity for training. And this is kind of a advanced system where you would have an administrator of the program. They can assign courses, track completion, certificates, things like that. It's a little small, but on the right, they touch kind of all the disciplines, all the departments, all the things. Your water, wastewater can get continuing education credits through this website. So pretty nice feature. And then cyber, we have a whole online cyber university, so-called. Everything from trainings, policies and procedures, if you need a wire callback procedure, an incident response plan, things like that, all available to you through our cyber. One of the big things we've identified is just training up people. There's a lot of turnover, a lot of new people that are good at their jobs, but maybe need some skill development when they reach that supervisor or management level. So we have a lady here who's done works for the league, has been a global management trainer for Intel Corporation in the past life, and help leading our management coaching skills training that we offer. So sometimes we do it regionally, sometimes we bring it straight to you. So we want to get a big enough group, but it's really trying to identify, coach up these people that are going to help make an impact on your organization. We have a crisis advisory service. So this is basically a number you can call if there's a crisis in your life. You know what crisis is, whatever you think it is. You know, if you feel like you've lost control of the situation, this is someone you can reach out to. They will help you determine how it's best to proceed with, you know, staff and communication to media messaging, things like that. Right? We've had a few members use it, you know, unfortunately for them, but it's been a great and well-received service. So if there's any tornado that hits the community, maybe there's a high profile citizen, you know, with some improper allegations, that whatever it may be, this would be available to you guys. And then council level resources. We have certain things that are available for you guys as well. We know that it's kind of an area that's often neglected. Everything tends to focus on staff and administration. So we've got things like sort of a short reading piece. So you've been elected. This is good if anyone wants a brush up on, what it's like to be on a governing body. To people that are newly elected, it's a good thing. These local gov 101 class, kind of a primer on municipal government. A lot of people come in, jobs, elections, they don't know, and it's not their fault. This is a nice online and in-person available class that you can attend. If you guys need a sample onboarding process, you need to know what are the finances of community when you get elected? What do the department heads really do? How do you work with Ramsey, your attorney, right? How do those things work? Do you need help with that? We can do that. I do lots of presentations to boards and councils about best practices, around liability, ways we find people get in trouble, best tips and advice, things like that. As well as we have a resource for conflict management. We call this playing nice in the sandbox coaching, right? So if we have bodies that cannot get along and it's really ground the government to a halt, we have a partner that we work with to help work through those issues and processes and try and get it back. So, next one. And then for staff, we have all sorts of things. If a municipality's asked a question or we've had a claim, we've likely developed a resource around it. Best practices on volunteers, minors. We look at insurance indemnification wording in contracts. You need help with any of those, fireworks, playgrounds, social media policies. Pretty much whatever staff can come up with. We've seen it before. We usually have a resource around. So I think that's the last slide, if you want to look to the next one. So basically our goal is to be there for you, help you do your job better as well as the staff. All we do is Wisconsin municipalities, we care about this and, we're here to help and answer any questions you've had. Anything? I thank you for letting us, participate in this opportunity. Staff was great to work with through the process.
Great. Thank you.
Good question.
I blew through that, so let's come back later.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to approve the League of Wisconsin Municipalities for insurance coverage.
I would second that.
Okay, so first by Hopkins, second by Faber. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great, motion carries unanimous. We'll go on to item 10.2, discussion regarding the results of the traffic study on Rock Lake Road. And I believe Officer Gilly is here. Lieutenant, sorry. Yeah. You can try to speak into the, everybody can.
Lieutenant Gilly, Kenosha Sheriff's Department, and I'm here to discuss your speed study. So there were two studies done, one in November and one just recently in January. Basically, they were for a week long. The November study started November 10th and ended November 16th. And this was utilized in one of our speed signs. Basically, as far as the average speed that was recorded was 31.09 miles per hour. And I'm going to preface this. I'm not, as far as what the citizens complaining, there's no doubt that there are cars and trucks that do speed on their road. This is one of the biggest complaints that we get on every road within the county. So there's no doubt about it. There's plenty of people who do drive recklessly everywhere they go. So we understand this. And I also realize that these homes are very close to Rock Lake Road. They're right on there. So I totally understand their concerns. I'm just simply reporting as far as the data that we recorded. And as the gentleman spoke before, basically we had a threshold with the speed sign at 35 miles per hour miles per hour was the excessive speed. So at that point, you would actually see the red and blue lights on the speed sign activate. As the gentleman stated before, that he would often see these cars slow down as they were approaching the sign. The sign also records as they drive away, and there were definitely increases in the speed as they drove away. So that is factual. As far as the study that we conducted in January, that was from January 19th through January 26th. Both first and second shifts, and we kind of focused around the rush hour and school start in 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. We ended issuing 9 citations for speeding during that time period. The lowest recorded speed that we had was 20 miles an hour, and the highest was 49. Lowest daily average was 27.07, and the highest daily average was 35.57. And that came out to a total average of 31.36. And this closely matches your speed study in November. It was 31.3. So I also went back 5 years for accidents too as well, because I know there were concerns about that. During the 5-year period, now these are just reported accidents. I understand the gentleman reported that his mailbox was damaged by a vehicle. I don't know, sir, if you reported that or not. But we had 4 accidents during that 5-year period that were actually reported. There were no accidents in, I believe, 2019 and 2023, and we have not had any accidents there this year thus far. So again, as far as the locations where we posted the squad cars, we were at the park. We were at 257th Avenue intersection, 122nd, and also on 119th. They did actually take speeds northbound and southbound. Most of the violations were recorded northbound. So I'll open to any questions if you have any.
I'm going to let Dennis talk a little bit because he's done some work on this too.
Yes, I did. I talked to Pam a couple of different times with respect to this. And over the years, we've had numerous people come in and complain about the traffic on this thoroughfare. This is a subdivision road. Unfortunately, it's used as a main corridor, a main thoroughfare. Your figures do show 88.85% of people were speeding. As you said, most of them trying to get home quicker than they want to get to work, apparently, because it's later in the day and they're going north anyways. And, you know, it's worse. People use a shortcut to get because of that, and because the garages and the homes are so close to the road, and they were built way before zoning ordinances restricted where these cottages is what they were originally could be built. They're full-time homes, they're nice homes, but they're very, very close to the road. When the new subdivisions went in, they didn't move the road over. That might have been an opportunity at that time to make it a little safer. But because they're so close to the road, the speed does bother me a lot. And I concur with, what the citizens said earlier today. And even though the recommendation might be, and the numbers might be that you could argue this is not warranted to put a couple of stop signs there, I think for safety reasons and the greater population that we have on the west side of the road in Runyard subdivision and the other subdivision there, that I would like to see stop signs there.
Did you get prices on those?
Paul has them. They weren't overly expensive. The 4x4 posts and the signs. It's nothing earth shattering. I don't have the exact numbers with me right now, but.
Is there regulations on that, when you can put a stop sign up?
On a village road, it would be up to us.
Yeah.
No regulations have to have so many.
No. I did talk to the highway superintendent for Kenosha County with JF by the restaurant there. Because of the parking they have on one side of the road, it's dangerous walking back and forth there. They did a study a couple of years ago. wants to come out in May when he feels the traffic is going to be not reduced because of weather conditions and what have you, and do another study. And he felt that that would be warranted, that the numbers with the amount of more traffic and what have you, he's anxious to take a look at it. Let me put it that way.
But I thought we asked for that once before, to have that speed limit on Rock Lake or what is it, JF?
Crosswalk.
To have that reduced.
It was a
Yeah.
crosswalk from the park.
From there, and then it goes
Well, I think the speed should
45
be
to
reduced
35 to
too.
25, but,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't, they said it wasn't warranted then, but, you know, maybe we can try something a little bit different, but what do you think about speed bumps on, you know, not during the winter like this with plowing, okay, but during the summer, you know, or, you know, from spring to fall, throw 3 speed bumps on each end of that thing, and it would definitely slow them down, but will it keep them slowed down?
I don't know. I know a stop sign is gonna make it not as comfortable for them to use it as a shortcut. But I would say, you know, an awful lot of traffic coming from the Wilmot area and west all the way over to Twin Lakes. Takes Highway C and they take that shortcut and go past. So you look at these numbers of vehicles. And in fact, when your fellas were there, there's a lot of people start early in Illinois, so you're there based on when we hire the sheriff's department.
Right.
And there's a lot of traffic that went through there earlier in the morning when you're not there.
I think I would be in favor of putting stop signs at Rock Lake Road and Runyard Way, and then also on 124th and Rock Lake Road. So we put up 2, hopefully the county puts up theirs at JF, and that's 3 stop signs within that stretch. And I also think that we need to address this with the county, that they should reduce their speed limit from the Colony House to Highway C. So that is my recommendation. I know it's up for discussion only. Anyone else?
Madam President,
Yes.
when are we gonna resurface that road?
It was in our budget to do this year, remember, and we took it out. So we will relook at that. I assume this year it will be back in the budget for our review.
One good thing about it, you have the pedestrian trail there.
Yes.
So there shouldn't be anybody on the road per se, other than if you're just getting your mailbox. We do need to put a crosswalk in for the park going to the walking path. And did they make a marked pedestrian path crossing by Colony House?
I believe there is.
And I think it would behoove this village to continue that path down to get to JF, where it's all narrow in there, and keep anybody that's walking on that. Maybe that should be a priority to us when we do that, is to extend the road out.
Yeah, I don't know what.
Get that walking path out there.
We'd have to look into that.
Right.
But I think right now, that's a good idea. But I think right now, the cost of, you know, 4 stop signs for the 2 intersections, really. And I do feel for the people that live there, because I've been going down many times and somebody's trying to get out of their driveway and it is right there. So I can only imagine. And I think that for all of the reasons, and Dennis, you looked at some of the data a little bit more than I did. I think it warrants it, in my opinion.
Well, I'll make a motion that we.
Oh, it's no action. It's only discussion, so we can put it on for next meeting,
I was surprised.
but we need,
North was where I have more trouble trying, because you're going downhill
Yeah.
going south. I have more trouble trying to keep 25 going south than north.
yeah. But so I think, go ahead.
I'm wondering, during one of the public comments, they noted that they're starting to get big semis coming down that residential area. Do we have a weight limit on those roads?
The type B road,
Like me?
So that means,
32,000 pounds and under.
made for heavy hauls.
are there any signs saying that? Can we put signs up? So I think, and I'm only speaking for myself, I would like on the next agenda to have some costs together for some signs for the trucks, and also for 4 stop signs at those 2 intersections.
I'm not doubting about citizens here reporting as far as the
Yeah.
trucks, but we didn't have any reports of
Right.
electric vehicles.
Yeah.
on our site.
But I think if we put 2 stop signs there and hopefully the county puts one at JF, that's 3, that should cut down on that a lot. And I don't think speed bumps are feasible. It's, hopefully we can achieve something with these stop signs.
Lieutenant Gilly, is it KSD that monitors or takes care of overweight trucks, or is that Wisconsin State Patrol?
No, we can enforce that as well.
Okay.
So I don't think you're not going to see state patrol up there. So yes, we would enforce that.
Okay.
If we needed to call an inspector for a weight limit, yeah, we'd have them come out, but we would do the initial stop.
Thank you.
I have a photo of the sign if anyone wants to see.
And
You could email it, Patty. Thank you.
it'd probably be help us too, is to put, and this is the problem, because when they come down that from Illinois, I don't think it's Wade Road, is it? When it, in what, does it say in Antioch?
That's what I'm asking.
It's, no, I don't believe, I mean, it does say, I mean, it's 35 miles an hour once you cross over there.
Right, but is there a weight
sign.
limit?
No, I don't
think there's a weight limit.
there is.
I don't think there is. It's all goofy when you cross the line.
Right.
If we could talk Antioch and putting a sign for us up there to let them know, because there is some trucks, but it's a B class, I believe, isn't it?
Okay, so Brad, if you think that you can, work with Paul on getting some of those costs together, that would be great, and we can hopefully put it on for the next meeting.
If you need another speed sign study, I mean, we can certainly do that, but.
I think we're good with, there was a lot of data there. So I think we'll be okay. Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
No? Thank you. Okay. Item number 10.3, update and discussion on village finance director / treasurer vacancy and candidate search, including salary range.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to step in for Cassandra again. So as I understand it, the village is open for finance director treasurer position that I believe the treasurer time working up soon. And this has been posted, I think, for 2, 3, 4 weeks. And as I understand it, as of today, there's only been one applicant. The applicant is not, current applicant does not meet the qualifications you're looking for. And so what Cassandra was wanting to discuss with you was whether the village needs to increase its salary range in order to attract more candidates who are qualified for the position. Nearby in Bristol, the salary is around $98,550. When she looks at other communities in the area around the state, she comes up with a range of $85,000 to $105,000 for a finance director. It is a position that is an important position. And so that's why this is on for discussions.
What did he put out? To it, since the 70s, I know it was. But now, were those positions also the finance director, or were they just the treasurer?
I believe in Bristol, it's finance only. But you're right, there can be some other positions out there that are combined, and that would maybe lead to the higher combined or the higher salary range. But I think her thought process is probably to see if you can catch more qualified candidates in the net and then make your decision there rather than having to come back and forth to the body. You feel you need to hunt on this. I suppose you could, but you're in the process and you need to find finance.
Are we allowed to take any action on this tonight if we want to make a change? Because it doesn't really say that.
Doesn't say that. I think your agenda generally has it And, you know, this responsible action.
Yep.
So that would be full with that higher salary range. But it's tied down tonight.
I see it's just update and discussion.
And I don't see where that's posted once we change the agenda. They're subject to possible action. We'll make sure that it's added on the new.
Agenda, it's under between 7 and 8.
It's good.
It's on the beginning of the agenda here.
Under 7.
Mhm. So one of the things that Cassandra and I had talked about was changing the wording on the ad that says salary range up to a dollar amount. So that way it doesn't list a minimum, but we give her the top of what we are comfortable with, and hopefully, you know, negotiate, because we have great insurance and you know, that's a big deal.
Does our ad mention that?
It just says, I don't even remember what the salary range is.
70,000 depending on.
Thank you. Yes.
Does it mention any benefits, the insurance or?
Joe, anybody going into this executive does this position, like treasurer or director of finance, does their due diligence mostly.
Right.
Based on your qualifications listing on CPA preferred. I have no say, right? Just please don't think that, but yeah, I think with the attorney, what he said earlier, the surrounding areas, you're gonna do a comp study, a $19 million budget. You're probably gonna be in the 85 and up range.
Right.
Just for a reputable and a seasoned individual, and you can build step patterns, not tell them what to do, in regards to 6 months, 1 year, 3 year escalator outside of your CPA adjustment.
Right.
Just give it just,
What about up to 95?
That's what I was
Good
thinking,
thought.
because if we can't attract people to apply, then
I'm interested in say.
got it. So, you know, I think that we do need to increase it, because if we're not getting people to apply, we have nothing. We have nothing. And if we hold it, even more time goes, and Chris is gone very soon. And then, you know, we have another employee in the AP department that is going to be retiring the following month. So this is critical to get somebody in here.
I would make a motion for the salary range to up to 95,000.
I'll second that, and maybe Chrissy will stay.
I was gonna say she'll retire and then reapply for another year.
Okay, so we have a motion to change the salary range up to 95,000. And we have a second, so. All right, Jared,
No.
Bill,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Kelly,
No,
Dennis,
Yes.
Billy?
No.
I'm a yes. Motion carries 4-3.
And I'd like to make a comment. The reason that I'm in favor is it's more than just a
Treasurer.
treasurer right now. We're looking for a finance director as well. I think that's worth the additional money.
Right. Okay, we will move on to Public Works. 11.1, discussion and possible action on the purchase of a replacement variable frequency drive for pump 3, lift station 8, 10935 269th Avenue from StarNet Technologies in the amount of $4,675.
I'll make a motion to approve. Second that motion.
Gant and Young, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. 11.2, discussion and possible action regarding fuel station software hardware upgrade for up to $18,133.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Hopkins in favor, discussion?
what is the purpose of this and what does the program do?
Ray, can you touch on this topic a little bit for us?
Either I can or Brian, who's the one that got the quotes. This is for the fueling station at the highway department. Our current software is 13 plus years old. Hasn't been supported since 2015. The new software will utilize our employee badges for person identification and the pro key that will be kept in each vehicle for vehicle identification. And it also allows software to be integrated into our current maintenance software. That's the additional $1,265. And my recommendation is for approval.
Okay. So this program keeps track of gallons, mileage per vehicle. So it basically gleans a lot of
Yes.
data.
We currently have the pro key, but now we'll have the badges and the pro key. You'll know who's actually doing the pumping.
Gotcha. Okay, anybody else? No? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimous. 11.3 ATV UTV ordinance discussion. Ramsey, I think we're looking to you on this one.
Okay, so, a draft of an ordinance had come my way about 2 weeks ago, sent back with revisions. The revisions were largely meant to make sure that the local ordinance was tracking what the state regulations allow you to do. And so I think we brought it in conformity. There are some loose ends, though, that I wanted to bring to your attention. The decision to even have an allowance on your roads for ATV use, UTV use is purely a legislative policy decision. You can open up all your roads or you can open up certain roads. That is entirely legislative, entirely your own best judgment, what you think your community wants. But once you pass an ordinance, there's a couple loose ends steps that need to be taken. One is that the clerk is going to have to send the ordinance to the state. The state holds on to these ordinances so they can be aware of every municipality in the state, whether it's town, city, village, or county that has these ordinances. It doesn't necessarily fly spec your ordinance, but it will check to make sure that some of the main components are in there. Second, you're gonna have to do signage and maintain that signage. That's one area where you could potentially even experience claims and lawsuits and potential loss of even your immunity that would otherwise protect you. Your signs are gonna have to go up that are consistent in a way with what the state's looking for and what the federal manual of human health control devices is looking for. There was a comment earlier that you may not need signage. I'm not sure about that. The state statute that governs this, which is 23.33. I think it's 8th subsection in there. It's a very long statute. I think subsection 8 does require the signage. So I think that's something that's going to have to be worked on with staff. And then the last detail will be how are you going to go about enforcing this ordinance for the ATV, UTVs on the road? What are going to be the penalties when you're in municipal court? And that's something where the municipal judge is going to have to look at, come up with a bond schedule, and he may need some guidance in that regard. I know that he's taken a first crack at it, and we've given some thought that he may need to follow, I think there's a state bond schedule for ATVs, UTVs, and that may have to be taken into consideration, whether it's the municipal judge alone doing it, our office helping, or even Rich Schulze's office helping because they're doing the prosecution. So you're going to have these little loose ends, but the first step is passing an ordinance and really making a decision how far do you want to go with ATV, UTV use on your roads. All roads, some roads. So that's where we stand.
Okay.
Can I throw 2 seconds in there?
Yeah, it's a discussion.
I've been working on this for quite a while, and I finally found the guy from the DOT who would give me some answers on this whole thing. And the biggest thing is signage. We have had the guy from the DNR here. And he suggested instead of just opening part of your village roads, he said, open them all up. The village streets, not county roads and not state roads. So that's all fine and dandy. So then we get to the signage, and this is the real big one, is the guy from the DOT, he said, for every entrance street or road you got coming, let it be a county road or a state road, you should put a sign up, it's 36 by 36, that all village streets in the village, all streets in the village of Salem Lakes are ATV accessible. But below that, you make a smaller sign that says by permit only, okay? So in other words, if you're riding around on our streets, you don't have a permit, it's your responsibility, you're liable for this, okay? And that's the biggest thing that this guy could come up with. So I've driven around, I've checked, we have 17 roads that comes into our village. 6 of them are existing posts with our village logo on it. And we would need 11 new ones with their own post. So to put those 17 posts in, the price is probably gonna be about $5,300. But here again, it's gonna be subcontracted out to a contractor because these all have to be located and even installed. So I guess the biggest thing with whatever we're doing here, and as Ramsey said, with the few little niches here and there, the biggest thing is to get our ordinance passed first. And we'll just take the signage and go from there.
But if we pass the ordinance without the signs, they can immediately.
You can't ride, okay, we do pass the ordinance, okay? You cannot ride on our village roads until all signage is placed.
I see.
And I've talked to numerous villages, specifically Bloomfield, and they've done this, and I've talked to the highway guy over there. We just put signs up where we wanted to put them up. But then he said he couldn't get anybody to give him a direct answer, but this Bob Fisk from the DOT, he had answers for me. So I'd like to see the ordinance passed, though.
Any other discussion on this topic?
I'm all for it, except I'm really leery about the 35-mile-an-hour roads.
I don't think we might have 1 or 2 roads in our village that are 35, but other than that, the majority, I mean, almost all of them are 25 miles an hour.
I don't mind that, but once you hit 35, you get in an accident with them, I don't think you're gonna make it out very well.
No.
The road that we've always been concerned about was 84th Street, and that's the one by Seaberts that goes straight east
84th
to
Street,
216th.
whatever, yeah.
And traffic, that's a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, but again, that's used as the main thoroughfare like Rock Lake Road.
Mm-hmm.
264th, there's 35 plus, and so is 111 around in Street, there's 35, I believe.
Yeah.
That's a bad section in there.
So originally, our proposed ordinance said the 25-mile-an-hour roads, but
So Ramsey, where do we go from here then?
Well, I think your first step, as Ron, as Mr. Gant indicated, is that you're going to have to make a legislative decision, pass the ordinance. And I don't know whether you feel you're at that point to decide whether it's all roads or some roads. It's absolutely correct. We're only talking about village roads. So it's a matter of all village roads, some village roads, that's a discretionary decision.
Okay.
You feel you want more information to pass it on at once, you know, to gather what those costs might be on signage, I guess that could be a reason to adjourn discussion.
Yeah.
But I do think Ron is correct that you can certainly make the legislative decision first. And there's just implementing steps that'll have to be taken before anyone that should use their ATVs out there.
Okay. What does everyone feel?
So are you ready?
Mhm.
Make your motion.
how would you word it? The devil of the deep.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't.
Well, the biggest thing is, I mean, this is written, I mean, this is, Ramsey, this is your revisions from what we had before, correct?
Correct.
I mean, it is all written.
And it's all roads on that one.
Yes,
But then we can come back and
yep. So the biggest thing I'm trying to do is, okay, so in other words, the sign that says you have to have by permit only. So in other words, you have to come into the village hall, okay? And as far as the golf cart permit we have, it will be something such as that. But first of all, you're gonna have to have your machine registered with the DNR, okay? So then you're gonna have a sticker on that. So you write the registration number down on the, and it's gonna be a $50 fee, renewable every 2 years. And you're gonna fill it out, you're gonna sign it, we'll give you 2 stickers, you put, on an ATV, you have a sticker on each side of it, okay, you can put it right below it or next to it or whatever, it's good for 2 years. And it is registered, so whoever is registered to, they're liable for what happens on that machine.
Well, I'll make a motion to do this,
One point of clarification, so, I don't know to what extent at the local level you can run the permitting, the licensing at the local level. There is requirement that they have to apply at the state level. If that's something that the village wants to pursue, we're going to have to look a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow. Most of these ordinances do not seem to require local approval. So that was one thing that was in your earlier ordinance, that's not in current provision.
Okay, I know that Wheatland requires you to have a permit to ride on their streets with what they opened up over there, okay?
And so this is an interesting thing, because a lot of communities have had ordinances that might be outdated. And I don't know whether, a single ordinance is actually in line with what the state statute calls for. I did look specifically at 22.33 or whatever the specific chapter is, and I didn't really find authority that said you could do it. And then I looked at a number of other ordinances just to get some anecdotal experience what's out there. And most of them did not have any kind of local permitting or licensing.
I think that might be another.
I think that we should look into that.
situation here where they don't get.
Leave it to the
Or if
DNR.
somebody comes from Illinois and they've got.
Well, yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Well, the only reason I was doing this was, but basically to cover the amount of money that the signage is gonna cost.
I think we could, over time, absorb that.
Somewhere we could cover that, yeah.
That enforcement.
I have a question. Somebody puts this in the newspaper tomorrow. We approved the ATV ordinance.
But it's not.
Doesn't that give the go-ahead for people to start riding their ATV?
Well-
I mean, we have to have a start date.
Well, actually, they already have. We've talked.
Well, but
What I'd like to do this evening is get this thing to officially move along a little bit better. We've been talking about it for a long time. And we always come back to the same thing, but now, judging from what Ramsey says, we can at least approve this and then work out the details a little bit.
Well, I mean, it has to be public.
It's gotta be published
Yeah.
and everything else, and right. And the signs have to be up.
And we do have a permit that, it took 2 years to do this, by the way, so it's a long process, but we worked with Bloomfield too to see what the ordinance was ours. So if you have any questions, Brad is our guy, we're at Town Wheatland, he just finished that up. And I think one of the things is we had to, I believe Kenosha County put our signs up, so the town would be liable for anything, they put it up the right way. So it helped the community, if they felt safe, it's done the right way. And if you're right, you couldn't ride out until they were all up, and we didn't do all the roads, we just did a lot of the main ones that said, hey, this is where you go, and you're doing it the right way.
The county put your signs up?
And then there's one more thing that we have run into. We'll have people ask, I take it you got town, Paddock Lake here and here at Salem. We're putting it into next week to see if we can get this done is with County Executive Kirkman to cross 50 and that's the best place because it's a controlled intersection with 4 stop and loading. Because you have one town that has over, we didn't have it on our site. They're both there now, and we needed one safe area to cross, so that's going to
Okay,
next week.
thank you.
So you might run into the same things of your neighbors. What I did over here, I want.
You can't put them
Up north, they're doing it everywhere.
They've got all signs in Children Terrace, all of a sudden it comes.
I think ours need to be separate, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I don't even know, do we want to look into the permitting first to see if we're allowed to do that? I think that we should,
I'll go up to Wheatland and talk to them up there, okay?
but I think we can get this back on for
Next month.
probably the first meeting in March. And hopefully be able to take some action at that time. That'll be the goal.
Yes, time out.
I'm out. Time's out. All right.
Yeah, question.
Okay.
Question.
Legally, to drive an ATV.
To drive on our village roads, you have to have an eligible driver's license. You have to be a licensed driver. You're not gonna have a 12-year-old driving.
16 then.
Yes, with a license.
And that's the same for golf carts.
And insurance.
Mini bikes.
No mini bikes.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move along. Number 12, clerk's office. 12.1, discussion and possible action for direct sellers licenses filed with the clerk's office for Power Home Remodeling, Michael Brown, Liliana Moreno, and Tyler West.
Motion to approve.
I'll second his motion.
Hopkins and Young. All in favor?
Discussion.
Oh, sorry, discussion.
Yeah, on our form, we are redacting the license plate of the vehicles that they're driving. Renzi, do you know of a reason why we have to do that?
I don't know.
Redacting what? The license plate of the vehicles that the sellers are gonna be driving. So when they park them on the road.
Yeah.
Okay, people are gonna see a white van.
But you may, if you're redacting that kind of information from records, it's probably pursuant to the Driver's Privacy Protection Act, the federal law. That requires redaction of certain information relating to motor vehicle records.
I'm not sure that we're redacting them because this came up, oh, we are?
Yeah, we-
Because when we did the ones last time,
That was an
We're-
error on that one section that should have been redacted in the
Oh,
warrant for
got it.
the board members.
And I got,
Driving the same car the last time. Now this time they've got the individual vehicle, but they've got the license plate is
Yeah.
blacked out. But you can't park on our streets anyways.
Right.
there you go. It's true. Makes it difficult. Yep. That's good. That's- Okay.
Okay, anyone else? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so 6-1. Mr. Faber opposed. Okay, 12.2, review and possible approval of minutes from December 20th, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Hopkins and Gant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. Review and possible approval of minutes from January 22nd, 2024.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Faber and Barheit. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. 12.3, review and possible approval of vouchers from January 23rd to February 5th in the amount of $2,878,931.77.
Motion to approve. Dennis. Second.
So a first by Faber and a second by Hopkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Discussion in 12.4, discussion and possible action to move the February 19th board meeting to February 26th at 6 PM due to the election on February 20th. I believe this is because we need to set this room up and then lock it. Am I
We have to
correct?
make
So we
sure
need to
that-
have the night before the election, which would be the 19th when we were gonna have our board meeting.
Correct.
So is anyone opposed to moving the meeting to the 26th?
That conflicts with the library board meeting that I'm on.
Right,
If we could push it back to 6:30, I would be able to do both.
we can do that. Everyone else okay with that? So I will make the motion to move the February 19th board meeting to February 26th, but at 6:30 PM.
I'll second.
Okay, so
Which second?
Bucher and Faber,
Yep.
and we're gonna make that 6:30. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimous. Number 13, closed session, 13.1. Usually this wording is different. Convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub G for purposes of conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice concerning strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is or may be involved, specifically concerning Mary Griegel claim and Lori Kerber claim. Can I do both of these, Ramsey, or do I have to do them separately at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. And 13.2, convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub E, deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically concerning land sale negotiations of property to the sharing center and the sale of heavy rescue truck with Paddock Lake.
So moved.
Hopkins,
Second.
and a second by Gant. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, we are going into closed session. Okay, can I get a motion to reconvene into open session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 sub 2 for possible additional discussion and or action concerning any matter discussed in closed session and or any unfinished item remaining on the agenda?
Second.
Okay, Hopkins and Young, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. Okay. In regards to 13.1, I make a motion to direct staff and legal counsel as directed concerning the Mary Griegel claim.
So second.
So Bucher and Hopkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, and also for 13.1, I make a motion to disallow the claim of Lori Kerber.
I'll second.
Favor.
Okay, so Bucher and Faber, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Great. Okay, 13.2. In regards to the land sale negotiations of property to the sharing center, I make a motion to
Let staff proceed.
to have the staff proceed as directed.
Second.
So Bucher and Hopkins. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, 13.2, in regards to the sale of the heavy rescue truck with Paddock Lake, I make a motion to have staff proceed as discussed.
I'll second it.
So Bucher and Gant. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Hopkins and Young, motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, thank you.
Good night.